Hello all, welcome to Fireside Chats, and today we're going to talk about Star Trek Discovery, episode 12 of season 2, Through the Valley of Shadows. And I gave this one a walkthrough already, and surprisingly, this was not terrible. It may even have been good. I don't know that it's Star Trek, but it sure beats the shit out of the last two episodes we watched. So with that, let's go ahead and get this party started, shall we?
Previously, on Star Trek Discovery, any rational explanation for the 7 signals continues to escape me.
Tell us what the signals mean.
I know nothing about them. You want to help? Delete the Sphere Archive. As long as there's any possibility of Control gaining access,
God, I'm glad they killed her off.
everything will die.
The archive will not allow itself to be destroyed.
Instead of fighting time, we go with it.
You can transfer the Sphere Archive into the suit and let the one take it forever. Look, just come on. That version of me is dead, and I'm not going back. Your control, you won't win. Struggle is pointless. Mission parameters have changed.
So both the recap and the teaser are extra short in this one, which is really nice.
We haven't come this far to lose everything now. You have to let me go.
If we do that, you get yanked back.
At least this way she would have a chance.
I'll find you, Mom. Now and now soon.
Oops.
You'll always be one step ahead.
Dr. Brown was incorrect. What we do now has the power to determine the future. The board is yours, Michael.
When the time storm passes, I'll come back for you, baby girl. For you and your father. I promise. Incoming transmission from Amanda Grayson.
And thankfully, that's all we get of not Angela Bassett.
I heard what happened. I am so sorry. How did you hear?
So now, Amanda Grayson is talking to Michael Burnham. And they have some mother-daughter banter. Now, is it me, or did they age her in the last episode of season 1 to look more like the TOS Amanda Grayson, and now she's looking like she did when Michael Burnham graduated from the Vulcan Science Academy? It's really confusing. And also, I don't know who this casting director is, but they seem to really want to cast like soccer mom-looking women. Very strange.
I apologize for the interruption, but the captain needs us.
So Spock just interrupted and said that they have to go see Captain Pike.
Another signal has appeared. This new signal is the fourth of 7 that appeared over the Klingon planet of Boreth. Time crystal in Dr. Burnham's suit is destroyed. There's no way she could have come back to create that signal. That she said she had no knowledge of them. Which would suggest these signals were created by another time traveling entity. Maybe a trap? Is it a control from the future? None of the events linked to the signals would indicate that. The fact that one of them led us to save the people of Terrorless, his ancestors were saved by Dr. Burnham herself. Makes me think that these signals
Speculating about what the signals could mean or who created them is unproductive.
What are you suggesting, Amanda?
I am asserting that waiting around for these signals to provide us answers has proven to be a colossal waste of time. To say nothing of the fact that Leland is the AI. He is control. We should be joining Agent Georgiou and her search mission.
We have determined that the Sphere Archive could not be removed nor deleted from this ship. By using Discovery to pursue Captain Leland, we would be placing the data directly within his reach.
So I will say that Michael Burnham is pretty annoying in this, and that,
We want to lead the charge, but our priority is safeguarding that data. So
well, she's always annoying, so that doesn't
focus on the mission at hand.
doesn't say anything, but
New signal and why it appeared over Boreth. Mr. Tyler, the answer. To the Klingons, Boreth is revered for one reason. A monastery dedicated to Kalish. It's the only non-native structure on the whole planet. I don't know how it relates to these signals, but I can reach out to Jameson Monroe to arrange passage there. Excellent, do it.
so I usually think these Klingon episodes suck, but this one was pretty good. And that's it. That's it for the intro. We're right into the episode. And again, I'm feeling gypped because of the aspect ratio. I'm being cheated of 20% of my screen, so thanks a lot for that, Alex Kurtzman. So yeah, this one, I just think a lot of it, the execution, even though it's still a dumb concept with time crystals and things like that, I just think that the execution was really good, and they brought back Kenneth Marshall, and Kenneth Marshall, I think, has done some really good acting on this show, so it was nice to have him back. Spoiler alert: he plays Son of None. There's timey-wimey stuff that goes on with the time crystals. And so Captain Pike, even though he was just dropped off as a baby, Captain Pike's going to catch up with him as an adult. It's, again, not Star Trek, but in the way it was executed seems to work pretty well here. This is, like I said, a surprisingly good episode. And we're into it. So they spore jumped to Boreth, which is where they dropped off Tyler's son.
Bar. Michael.
I saw you back there. Whatever it is you're not telling us about boys. I need to know.
Whereas is home to my son.
Looks like Shazad Latif has put on some weight here since last season. Everybody else hit the gym, and it looks like he's packed on a few pounds.
Brian hidden him away for his own safety. I
So
wanted to raise him, to protect him. And instead, I risked both of their lives.
now he's coming clean about what he did with the little baby.
He raised as a son of none. Like I was.
Gosh, I had no idea.
I'm sorry. I couldn't tell you.
I only wish you told me. So you wouldn't have to carry it alone.
It's something we both struggle with, isn't it?
Ugh, God. Thankfully they don't dwell on this crap too long. Burnham and Tyler having a moment.
What is it? The Section 31 ship just missed its check-in. Might be nothing.
When it comes to Leland and the AI, no inconsistencies, just one.
We might go after him for what he did to your mother.
Are you gonna track
Stop it. I don't think that's possible.
Still not crazy about the Section 31 portrayal in this series.
You go.
But if you're treating this episode as a standalone, at least it was fairly decently executed.
Be careful, Michael. Please.
And we see more of a TOS style Klingon battlecruiser.
Their contact with outsiders has been almost non-existent since our world was young.
Control is a significant threat to all of us, Chancellor. Something in that monastery might even be us. Is there any reason you can think of that this signal would lead us there?
The monastery on Boreth was not only built to house the followers of Talos, but to protect a rare mineral native to the planet, guarded with Klingon lives for generations.
So we discover that Boreth is where the time crystals come from, which again,
The burning suits powered by
a silly concept for Star Trek.
I can arrange an audience, but no Klingon, let alone a human, has ever taken a time crystal from the monastery without great sacrifice.
The alternative is worse. Let us proceed.
According to Tyler, every Section 31 ship is required to check in on an hourly basis. But this ship checked in 10 minutes
So Pike has agreed to go down to the planet
Nature of their missions, they're not
where the time crystals are.
information on their status.
You want to investigate it first?
I'll take a shuttle. Discovery stays here. The sphere data stays safe. And if they do nothing, the past ship may be a vulnerability we can exploit.
Permission granted, Commander.
So now Saru
Pike is away.
is walking with Burnham. She wants to check out the Section 31 issue. A ship went missing.
Alright. I'm a different kind of captain. Perhaps as was intended by whatever or
And thankfully, whatever
created the
puberty thing that Saru went through, it doesn't seem to have changed his character too much. Thankfully.
will complete by striking first. But I ask that you would not allow your understandable anger to cloud your judgment.
Gonna negotiate a trade.
They are not
This one.
true, John. The Ballgood do not leave these sacred walls. You've traveled far for nothing.
He's saying, I'm not going to give you the crystals.
Call yourself timekeepers. You can return your back when the future of all sentient life is threatened.
Even if a crystal is revealed to you, even if it provides you with the answers you seek, you are not strong enough to receive them.
Only asking for a chance to prove it.
They enter with conviction, always. They leave broken, always.
I'm not leaving here without that crystal.
Time will tell.
It's good stuff. See, I wouldn't mind if they cast Kenneth Marshall as the captain for season 3. Dude's got some serious gravitas. I'm glad they're still giving him roles.
It would be illogical for you to embark on this mission alone.
No. It's a simple recon mission, Spock.
I'm here on Zero's orders. Now is not the time for recklessness.
Or for unnecessary risks.
Which is why I must make sure you don't take any.
How are you gonna do that?
You heard Angel will not be there to save you this time.
I don't need saving, brother.
Show her, sister.
That was actually clever. She called him brother and he called her sister, threw it right back in her face. So they're taking off in a shuttle. I have no idea why they leave the shuttle bay open all the time. You'd think that would be a security risk, you know? People popping off a couple of photon torpedoes into the bay and blowing up some shuttles and taking the ship out. Really nice beauty shot of the Discovery. And Jet Reno's back.
Another score jump, huh? Thought you'd be celebrating.
Well, haven't come up with any viable solutions on how to get Dr. Burnham back or how to effectively combat an AI with murderous impulses. So, I'm not exactly feeling victorious.
Well, lucky for you, those are somebody else's problems now. We got new orders from Captain Pike before he left for Boris. We might be getting our hands on some raw time crystal. So, double down on the espresso pit. Hey, Bamboo Boy. 0 for 3, Linus. You ready to go another round?
I can't tell if Anthony Rapp's wearing a rug in this episode too.
Section.
No, see, I don't think he's wearing a rug in this one. I think he was in the last one though.
I know what Otto Anthony means.
Linus needs to whip one out. Don't choke. He can choke.
They have like the bridge crew and that reptilian dude. And Culber's just walked in, and Culber's not paying Stamets any attention. He's being super social with everybody else on the other side of the mess hall.
Get your protein business and go bury my head in time crystal research.
And Stamets is taken off because he doesn't want to be around Culber if Culber doesn't want to be around him.
What do I call you?
My name is Denali.
Boom! And we just learned that
Understanding, your father brought you forth only a few months ago when you were an infant. Forgive me, but how are you possible?
Time flows differently. To those who protect the crystals,
so
the past, the present, the future.
the people that protect the time crystals experience time differently in this this guy with the dreadlocks, this albinic guy with the dreadlocks, revealed himself to be Vok Tyler's son.
Because of the crystals.
For most Klingons, the ball god are a myth. Symbol of creation, namesake of Kronos.
This
But for those
Klingon temple is way cool. Like, I feel like firing up Skyrim as soon as I get done here and lopping some heads off.
identity in our lives, protecting them, that is our purpose.
Then you've got
Wonder
it just so well acted with Anson Mount and Kenneth Mitchell. Really, those two
Shuttle course coordinates.
really can carry a scene.
Destination approximately 2 minutes.
I understand your need to pursue Leland, but you must not dismiss the importance of the signals in defeating.
I don't know why we need to see Spock's chest hair. That's a little weird. I'm actually kind of jealous. My chest hair comes out patchy, so good for him for being able to rock a furry bush like that on his chest.
These signals have addressed discovery, your mother, myself. Come denominator is you.
You're a scientist, Spock. You've been taught to trust logic.
So Burnham has rejected the signals as being a clue to anything that would be helpful towards their mission.
If you're looking for meaning in the signals, you need to look somewhere else.
But the way they're portraying it is that it's a grieving process over the loss of her mother, so it works.
I'm not angry. I'm enraged.
And rage is the enemy of logic. This I have learned. Everything we thought we knew proved wrong. And you lost your mother because of it. You are in pain. But that is why I choose to believe these signals still hold the answer. So that everything we have experienced will, in the end, have meaning.
Character moments, who would have thought?
We have arrived.
Oh, so this was also cool. They dropped out of warp and hit a body, so...
That looks like the entire crew.
Yeah, well executed. I mean, it's about time.
According to my scans, the ship appears undamaged.
They were all ejected from the ship. Wait, there's one life sign. One of those bodies is still alive.
Locking onto transport.
They found somebody alive in a suit, and they're going to beam him aboard.
Lieutenant Kim,
You know this man.
Comrade Gad. He was our tactical officer aboard the Shenzhou.
So it seems to be someone from the Shenzhou that she knew. They did a flashback, and I don't remember him. I'll have to go back and watch and see if he was there or not. Tell you, they're pretty touchy-feely, she and this guy. This is more emotion than I've seen in Michael Burnham, I think, throughout the whole series.
We're dispatched from Discovery.
I'm starting to think that Michael Burnham might really have a thing for South Asian East Indian men, because Vok Tyler and now this guy. I don't know.
I was trying not to be too suspicious of routine issues systems. Locked us all out. There's no time to react. Suddenly the entire ship was opened up to the factions.
So he's saying that the ship... I'd see that's a plot hole. I mean, how does everybody know that Control is doing all this and that Leland was taken... Well, I guess after they shot him with a phaser, they knew Leland was taken over in the last episode, but... He's talking about how he escaped, managed to put a suit on before he got blown, sucked out. I mean, blown into space.
The ship's systems have entered into some sort of stasis mode. Why? Why kill an entire crew? Just to sit there doing nothing. The answers are on that ship.
We will need assistance from somebody familiar with Section 31's protocols.
So now they want to go on to the Section 31 ship.
Atmosphere is restored. If we can determine how this occurred in the ship, it may help us prevent it from happening again.
And prevent any further.
Son, I will ensure safety.
As a mother or as a chancellor?
All people should understand that two truths are possible.
Yeah. That's hard. It's uncalled for.
I recognize that these are not ideal circumstances for us to be meeting. Truth be told, I did not expect to see you. Ever again.
No,
They did something weird with Laurel's neck.
signals.
Has provided us with an opportunity to talk. I have accepted the truth about us. You are, and will always be.
I feel like when they tried to make it look more like the TOS movies,
You sacrificed everything.
they changed the face, but they didn't. The neck they left the Klingork style. It's really distracting.
Recognize you now, but I am certain you do anything to protect our son. As will I.
I never even gave him a name.
And we're back to Pike. Yeah, this is way cool. The CGI is just magnificent.
The past.
See, this kind of reminds me of Indiana Jones a little bit.
The pillar of the present. What's that? When the future becomes the past, the present will be unlocked.
So there's a cool time crystal key that opens it up. Again, I really feel like firing up Skyrim right now. I feel like I'm going to find a necromancer hiding or a vampire hiding somewhere.
What do I do? You must see for yourself. But it is for you alone. Warning, Captain. The present is a veil between anticipation and order. Lift the veil, and madness may follow.
He's telling him that if he touches the time crystal, he could go mad.
Alert. Radiation leak detected. Any exercise aborted. 4 seconds to lockdown. 3 seconds. Radiation reaching critical levels.
So it looks like Pike is wearing
Lockdown complete.
a Star Trek Beyond uniform. The blue ones they had. Oh, and it's showing him getting all fucked up by the radiation. And now he's normal and he's in his Star Trek Beyond reminiscent uniform. Like the blue ones they had. There's a chair rolling out. It just turned. It's in the background, and it's fuzzy. He's walking towards the chair. And oh man, boy did they do a good job on that makeup. Shows him really badly disfigured, and like his skin's melting off, and now he's back in the present.
You may still choose to walk away from this future. But if you take the crystal, your fate will be sealed forever. There will be no escaping it.
So the Buck Tyler's son is saying, if you leave the crystal, you can change that future. But if you take the crystal, you have to. You're locked into that future of disfigurement, and it's actually interesting. It's really interesting how they did that. You would think, just based on what we've seen, I thought it would have really sucked, but this actually, it's good character for Pike.
It contains an ending I hadn't foreseen for myself. No. Give it to me. I honor you, Captain.
And he's given Pike the crystal because Pike's going to accept his fate.
That's the main interface.
So Burnham and not Tyler and Spock have just beamed on the Section 32 ship.
I only have limited access to the ship's systems. Perhaps we can relay to Discovery for assistance in data recovery. If Control realizes what we're doing, we're as good as dead.
We can disguise it as a routine diagnostic procedure.
That could work.
I don't like the Section 32 ships. They don't make any sense to me.
Did you do that? You don't have control over navigation.
Which indicates that it is aware of our presence.
I need medical attention.
And cut to Reno entering sickbay. No sign of Dr. Pollard.
Hangnail. It hurts like a bitch, and it's one of two things currently impeding my work.
And, what is the second thing?
An idiot. He came back from the dead, and his name rhymes with poo. I'm an engineer, not a poet.
Really?
Ow! The hell was that?
Medical attention.
You see why you got along with him?
Who?
Stamets.
And, when did you two become friends?
Well, we didn't, but I work with him, and I need him on his A game if we're gonna save, well, apparently all of sentient life.
Hmm. Oh, you were married?
Yep, my wife is Fuyusian. She went totally bananas during the planning.
What do you think? I understand micromanagement.
And she had a list of rules for apparel for guests under 10.
I do not play this for the DJ.
Non-denominational shuttle parking.
Acceptable guestbook calligraphic fonts.
Vegan steak.
Where is she now?
She passed in a Klingon war.
So Reno's saying,
It's funny.
hey, my wife died.
Before I
Quit being a dummy and get back with Stamets.
And thank God. You have a second chance. It may not last forever.
Saying your second chance might not last forever. Seize it now.
Don't screw it up.
The course implied at least to an area just outside Federation space. Orange is what the AI is controlling. Blue is us.
It's infiltrating nearly every system on board.
We won't be able to attack it directly because it'll defend itself.
If we cannot destroy it, you must isolate it.
We could create a dummy startup system. Something large and unaffected. AI will be drawn to it.
It'll enter the dummy system like a lion drawn to fresh meat.
And then we'll close the door behind it, trapping it in a cage.
Which would allow us to recover the rest of the ship systems.
We can't do it all from here. Someone has to be in the control room to hold the cage door open when we manually reboot the computer core.
Alright, so they're going to blah blah blah, blah blah blah, blah 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 blah, and split up so that Spock can go down and blah 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 to isolate control.
Okay, we'll need to get into the floor.
Now, Spock's doing something with the computer.
The cage is ready. You may authorize computer core reboot.
Copy that, Spock. We're still manually patching the system's bypass.
Computer status.
Control is contained within the designated startup system, awaiting manual reboot to finalize control systems purge.
Recover all systems.
I think control, they're using like, you know, the first generation iTouch interface for control's computer.
Back to the soldier.
I'm a glutton for punishment. In Starfleet, you're taught to adapt your reactions so that you can act even when you're uncertain. Even when you have doubt. But after the Battle of the Binaries, that was all I had. Section 31 accelerated their threat assessment program to prevent a war from ever even starting. Sounded like a good idea to me. A way to guarantee a safer future. It might sound impossible, but with control, it's not an impossibility.
Control identified in one location outside the internal systems.
Where?
If you touch that phaser, I'll cross the room in 0.8 seconds and break the metacarpals in your hand.
Oh, so we just revealed that not Tyler
Nanotechnology can
is controlled by control.
bridge contained within a carbon-based life form.
Michael, do you copy?
System malfunction.
You're not Gant.
Gant expired with the rest of the crew. His body was reanimated, reconstructed, as was Leland's. And yet you couldn't tell the difference.
They didn't expire, they died. You murdered them.
We're both sworn to uphold our core programming at all costs.
Your programming is designed to protect life, not eliminate it.
To achieve one requires the other. Once I absorb the sphere's data, I will be the purest form of conscious life in all of existence.
The future hasn't been written yet.
You don't believe that anymore. Not after re-experiencing the loss of your mother, your failure to protect her. You no longer believe in your ability to affect the future, whereas I see every possible future in all of its permutations. And it always ends the same way. Neither mother nor daughter can change that. Ever.
Like the voice effect on the Borgified not Tyler.
You wanted me alone. Why?
I want your help, Michael Burnham. You are the most effective tool to acquire the sphere archive from the Discovery. That is why I lured you here. So that you too can be reconstructed.
Michael, do you copy?
He wants to Borgify her.
System to lock him out of the ship.
Firefight!
Authenticating. Manual reboot commencement.
Oop. Now Control's trying to jab a spike in her eyeball like what happened with Leland.
There's only one outcome. Vulcan nerve pinch. Would be effective if I select nerve endings.
And Borgified Not Tyler was neck pinched by Spock, and it didn't work on him. And so he took Spock's hand and broke it. And just blew a giant hole in the middle of Borg Not Tyler. Very reminiscent of the episode Conspiracy, where Remick gets a hole blown in him. And so now the nanites are coming after her. She's doing a Laura Croft with double phasers good blasting. And Spock saved the day right before the nanites got to her. Pretty cool action sequence.
Once I realized the nanobots contained ferromagnetic materials, I had to calculate the correct electrical current to run through the metal on the ship's floor to mobilize them. I apologize for being so slow.
Well, it's a good thing that the pressure didn't get to Spock's dyslexia, otherwise she would have been fucked.
Control was blocking my tricorder, or we would have known what he was. I regained control of the ship.
Everything is out of order.
Do you not wish to investigate its program destination?
Control said I was in here by accident. They only went along with their plan. To not raise suspicion about its ultimate goal, which was to terminate.
Which indicates Control's identified you as the true threat to its objectives.
So now Spock's trying to tell her, look, Michael Burnham, you can deny it all you want, but Control's after you now, so they think that you are the key to the whole thing.
There's still a chance to stop it. Maybe there is something in the signals that can help us finish what my mom's doing.
We must return to Discovery.
That was abrupt.
The Discovery is now in possession of a raw time crystal.
How do you plan to utilize it?
The three last signals have yet to reveal themselves. I believe they'll bring clarity to our topic. Stamets and Reno are working to stabilize the crystal's vulnerable properties.
Tell me, Captain. What did the monks ask in return?
What I experienced is for me alone. Yes, I promise that I may be your son.
So
You saw him?
he's trying to explain the timey-wimey stuff with how he was able to
Explain it if I try.
see an older version of their son than they are.
Just may return this to you.
The insignia as a torchbearer.
I had given it to you before I set it up before. Snavik said that it helped him on his own journey. He's where he needs to be now. No longer needs it.
Nothing.
Then they just told Pike just told Vok Tyler and Laurel what their son's name was,
It's a good name.
and they like it. Again, Kenneth Marshall portrayed their son, and he did a fantastic job.
Your son. It was meant to be on board. I was meant to be guided by it. So it seems that we all have, we continue to have a part to play.
Leland anymore. It has the ability to co-opt people and entire ships without being detected.
Do we know where their ship is going?
Just outside Federation space.
Now Burnham is saying anyone can be Borgified.
Everything controlled us.
Although Starfleet has to
Captain, that's a Section 31 ship.
They are all Section 31 ships.
They're coming for the data. For us.
The signal brought us here for a reason. We have the time crystal.
Captain, 30 ships. Nearly the entire fleet.
You'll jump until we can figure out how to power the crystal.
They'll keep following us. Sir, it took a supernova to power that crystal. We don't have the tools we need. And we don't have the time to figure out alternatives. And we can't wait for another signal to show up.
What do you propose?
We're outgunned. We can't delete the data. That leaves us only one option. We destroy a ship.
Destroy the ship. See, this addressed my biggest plot hole with the last episode. Unfortunately, Michael Burnham was the one that had to come up with the idea, but it makes sense. We can't delete the sphere data, blow up the ship.
Bryce. Send a priority 1 message on secure channels to Enterprise's XO. Set rendezvous course maximum warm. Prepare emergency passages. The full crew complement. Washington. Initiate verification procedures for auto-destruct sequence. Send a shipwide alert. We are evacuating Discovery.
And that's it.
There is a battle coming.
About time.
Not in our favor.
Captain Pike has always had faith that we play a part in some grand design.
So they're showing the evacuation of Discovery to the Enterprise and Pike back in his
Bravery and honor.
mustard yellow uniform.
9 more enemy vessels just dropped out of warp.
Prepare for battle.
Shows Enterprise firing photon torpedoes. Yeah, I hope the next episode is as good as this one was, because this sure was better than the last 2 episodes. And that's it. Thanks for joining me.